I'm here finishing my supper.
You're finishing your
Well,
supper.
we're excited to have all of you here and whoever else joins us. We will be doing a replay, and then next week we'll probably do another call on Thursday, but next week we'll use the same number that we typically use for Q&A. So Q&A on Wednesday will be whatever topic we're talking about, not patches. And then on Thursday at 5 will be the questions that people have on the patches. So why don't you tell us? Oh, and also we are recording. The replay will be in the Lifestyle for Health Facebook group page. Many of you are in that group. If you're not, you can just go to Lifestyle for Health on Facebook as a group and then request to be to join it, and we'll probably accept you if you don't look like a bot.
So we've been talking about these a lot for the last 2 weeks, and they kind of showed up. Okay, I'm going to give you the quick backstory because typically how these patches showed up is not how we do business. A friend of mine sent me about a dozen packs of them about a year ago, and Cheryl just looked at it and I said, "Look, they do this cool muscle testing, balance testing." And Cheryl's like, "I'm a healthcare professional, and I don't do what those people in the video are doing." So these patches literally have been in my office for over a year. And then two things happened about a month ago. I kept looking at stuff going, we should use what we have just because we have it. And I'd seen a couple of videos on athletic performance. And since I'm, at age 71, I'm working on being more athletic. I thought I should start using the athletic patch, the victory patch. Well, lo and behold, it actually made a noticeable, visible difference for me. The other patches I can't tell a big difference on. So I fell in love with that. I just slapped it on every time we exercised. And then Cheryl was having a dental problem right in here, right in her mouth where the teeth are.
That's not the sequence of the story.
I'm telling the story. It's okay. Because, like, Marla can flow with me. So Cheryl, and then Cheryl will fill in the correct part. But she's got this dental pain problem. And she said, maybe I should try the pain patch. And she slaps on the pain patch and she has an aha revelation. So at that point, we started digging into them a little bit more. But would you like to correct me now?
Yes. So we did have them for about a year, and I just thought they were dumb. I thought they were hokey. I thought it was ridiculous. It made no sense to me. Little rabbit trail. About 10 years ago, I went to a class that Dr. Cobb did on neurology. And I walked in, there were all these bodybuilders and Olympic athletes and personal trainers and me. And I was probably at least 25 years older than all of them. And I thought, man, I am in the wrong class. However, when I went through it, it was one of those where I had this huge epiphany of how important the nervous system and brain are. I mean, it was huge. And that led us into all that we've been doing with neurology now for 10 years.
So all of the mobility, basically anything that Lene and I do for you guys on fitness and movement mobility came out of that foundation of why neurology is so important to exercise. It's not just going to the gym. You have to understand how the brain functions before you just go start working out, because then you can actually have an effective workout.
So somehow, I'm not quite sure how it happened. I ran across a YouTube video by Dr. Anna Toker. She's considered one of the top colorectal surgeons using
You
robotic.
say that 10 times, colorectal surgeon 10 times.
No.
How about that as a career choice? You're 20 years old in college and you think, I want to become a colorectal surgeon.
She actually chose that field because of all the surgeons. They're the ones that didn't have night appointments and night hours. She actually had a reason for it. Anyway, so she's one of the top. She uses robotics and she's very bright, very personable. And I was listening to her talk about pathways to the brain, and that when any pathway to the brain is not in homeostasis or balance, it's dysfunctional. And that when you put a patch on, which we'll explain a little bit, it will take a specific pathway to the brain into balance. And she did such a supreme job of explaining it. I had another one of these epiphanies. It's like, we do all this neurology, but if there is a pathway to the brain that's dysfunctional, I don't know that you can do enough supplements or enough meds to get it to functional. And then she started telling the history of how the company got started, and it was like, it was like multiple epiphanies, and the whole thing made sense to me. It just totally made sense. The only variable then was understanding what the different patches did. So if the only thing you get out of this time is your skin is the fastest way to get information to the brain. That's why the patch is
Think
here.
about if a bug lands on you, and without even thinking, you know, you can feel a mosquito landing on you, right? Something hits those little hairs. You can immediately respond to stuff touching your skin because it is so sensitive. It's designed to send information. So think of the skin as a transmitter to your brain of everything going on in the world around you. It's extremely sensitive. That's why they can do acupuncture. You know, you can stick a needle in one part of your body and it impacts the rest of your body. You can, you know, I can get foot reflexology done and it goes to work on my colon. So it's all connected in cool ways.
And it's faster than what you can consciously think. So the skin's very important. So she was going through all the history, which I'll share a little bit, Forrest will. And so I started playing and I started researching, and I became probably, you know, for those of you who've been around us for a while, enzymes were a big deal, emotions were a big deal, neurology's been a big deal. All that we learned about detox and the gut and the microbiome from Cellcore. And this came around, it's like everything we've learned is like God has orchestrated so that it all works together. It all works together.
And it's, the history of lifestyle for health is interesting because we started with one thing, and just when we need the next thing, it always seems to show up. So over the last 35 years, you know, we started with food, and then this comes along and shows like, this is it. And then we reach a point in the next thing. So it's like, it's not like a door closes, but COVID came along and we had stuff showed up for that. Post-COVID came along, something else. It's like the Lord has continually brought through the door exactly what we need for our family and our community for the next season. And there's a 40-year history of that.
So
You're always the intuitive one that goes, this is it. Off she goes to a class, and then she comes home excited, and then I figured out how to keep up with you.
So you want me to do a little bit on the history, or you want to do that?
Let me just touch on this. So this is an interesting history to the company. So the owner of the company, Jay, it's an Indian last name. His family, his parents immigrated to the United States.
Dhaliwal.
Dhaliwal. So his parents immigrated to the United States, and he said, when I was 8 years old, I was expecting a bicycle for Christmas. Now, some immigrants, like Indians, you know, they think differently than other people. So his parents came here and they wanted him to succeed. So his mom says, your dad's got your Christmas present in the other room for you. So he goes in and notices his dad is putting a bookcase together. And there's a small box in the room. He said, not a bicycle. It was back in those days, the Encyclopedia Britannica. And for the next 5 years of his life, every night he had to give his dad a summary of 10 pages out of Encyclopedia Britannica, starting at the beginning, working through it. And any drawings or any pictures, he had to do a thumbnail of that. So he obviously is very bright, but he's a learner, and his parents made him a learner. But anyway, by the time he's 30, he become a mechanical software engineer. And from what I've heard, was worth about $100 million. His mother had MS, and he decided he should solve the MS problem. And so with that much money, you go anywhere. And he said, I'll just be the first in line when we solve MS. What concerned him was that with all of these bright doctors, he said, if you understand neurology, why can't you solve the connection between MS and the body? He said, nobody could figure it out. And he said, I guess I have to. So he found some doctors, I think, in Switzerland, and they had a library. They had a database of 250,000 brain scans, EEG brain scans. And he said, if I give you a bunch of money, will you give those to me? And they said, sure. So he brought those 250,000 brain scans home, started writing software to figure out healthy brain scans and unhealthy brain scans and sorting all of that out through his database. That process led him to realizing that there were ways that you could have these pathways Cheryl's going to talk about into the brain. And his very first product was a sock. I remember like 15 years ago, one of my clients called and said, Forrest, you need to buy these things called Vox, V-O-X-X socks. Did anybody buy Vox socks like a long time ago? So he was making these socks, and they had special messaging woven into them, and he could put these socks on his mother, and she would walk better. She'd balance better because of what he'd wove into the socks. Well, he's Canadian, and so then what happened is they started selling them to hockey players to reduce injuries because hockey players had better balance.
Little insert.
Yeah, little insert.
He also found that there is a Nobel Peace Prize winner who identified that frequencies go through the skin the fastest. And that's when he had his epiphany to put something like a Band-Aid on the skin and go beyond the socks on the feet.
Yeah, what he found with the socks is in the summertime, nobody wanted to buy socks. But he said, if a sock can send a message, then I can put a message anywhere on the body. And that's how these patches started coming together. The whole journey was to solve his mother's MS. So as a businessman who did not need the money, the journey now is how do we change the health of the world without medicine, because these are non-medical devices. Think Band-Aid with Braille. So his mission as a very successful businessman, very wealthy businessman, is we need to be able to impact people's health. And so Cheryl's been learning like every day. It's a good thing we don't pay for YouTube so she can get it we pay for YouTube so she can watch it free, because she's on YouTube every day, literally learning about the neurology of how these work. And then with the clients coming through the office, she's connecting a whole bunch of dots to everything else we're doing. So that's kind of the very thumbnail sketch. It's an FDA registered device, but it's non-medical. So they can basically be sold anywhere in the world without stepping on any toes. But as Jay says, my big challenge is we cannot come anywhere close to making a health claim, even though I have patches that solve health problems, because the government will put me out of business if I solve a problem. The pharmaceutical industry, there's a pharmaceutical company that I think offered him $1 billion for his technology. Red Bull offered to buy the the boost patch from him, and Amway offered to buy the whole company from him for lots of money. He turned all three of them down. He said, if I do that, the pharmaceutical company will just lock this up, Amway will destroy it, and Red Bull will turn it into a mess. He said, my mission generationally is to advance this neurotactile technology and change people's health. We can do it legally without getting shut down by the government. So we're 2 years into him selling these patches on the open market. And there's going to be, I think, a really exciting learning curve with doing that, as evidenced by what Cheryl's doing. So Cheryl, why don't you talk about what really captured your attention on this? So I don't want you guys to see us selling patches. I want you to see the big picture of where we're going, the credibility of this, the integrity behind the company, the vision for where we're going, and then how do you integrate them successfully into your life. So like, as I'm looking at this call, most of you look like you're about in my age category. And one of the very, some of you are younger, some of you are older, but we're in that group. In other words, the kid that put in my dishwasher today is 26. I'm not in his group. Okay, side story. Costco has been selling $1.50 hot dogs for 40 years now. I looked at this kid and I said, Costco's been selling hot dogs for twice as long as you've been around. For $1.50, they've never gone up. I thought that was fascinating. But where was I? I got digressed.
You did.
You're tapping my leg.
You followed the rabbit. Okay, I'm going to go through a little bit on the technology.
Something I want to say, but
Well, you can hold it. I did type up all of these notes. So you can take notes, but Lene will ever so graciously put them as a file on the Lifestyle for Health Facebook group page, and then you'll get all the details. So what I really want you, now I learned by writing, so if that's you, fine, but otherwise I really want you to get the concept. So what Jay did, this database of brain scans were EEG, not EKG for the heart, EEG scans. And the scans, when your brain has dysfunctional pathways, it will show as red and yellow. And as he started creating his technology, he could put that on somebody, and within a matter of less than a minute, maybe
10
two, but
seconds.
usually way under a minute, it starts turning green, which means these pathways are moving into balance.
I actually saw a video where they put all the electrodes hooked up to the kid's head. Then they slapped, and the brain is flashing red. They put the patch on his arm, and the brain changes colors. It was like the brain goes from
And then
red.
they would take it
I don't
off.
think you've looked at that. Yeah, the patch on and off, and the brain goes to a white, yellow,
Red, yellow.
red, and then it goes back to red when they've gone off. It's like, it was cool.
So every patch that's available has gone through EEG clinical studies to prove efficacy for a specific pathway. And every time you work on a pathway, the little ridges that are on the patch, and everyone's different. It's like a thumbprint. It's when you peel off the backing of a patch.
So you have to understand this technology or you go, this is just hokey.
I don't know if you can see it, but there's little curves and ridges like a thumbprint.
It doesn't work very well.
That's right. That's right. That's not important. So anyway,
This is a joy patch. I'm going to put it on so that we have a happier phone call. I'm
okay.
feeling happy.
Okay, but I need you not to interrupt me right now because there's some things I really want to get across. You can put questions in the chat, but we're also going to leave time to ask questions as a group. So when they're looking at the brain to change pathways, they're working on the brain stem. And if you've been around, you know how much we've talked about this. This is the part of the brain that holds all the cranial nerves, especially the vagus nerve. It's what connects to the autonomic nervous system, which is your entire spine, sympathetic, parasympathetic. This is all a big, big deal. And he had that 250,000 database. And as an engineer, systems engineer, he started taking it apart and figured out which pathways did what. And the guy is a genius. So what he put together are these patches. I want to give you a brief overview on technology because I want to get to well, that's all cool stuff. So the technical term is vibration, tactile, touching the skin technology. So what it means is when you put a patch somewhere on the body, those little ridges are like a thumbprint that goes into the skin and instantly goes through the autonomic nervous system to here and brings whatever pathway you're working on instantly, get this is my aha, instantly to homeostasis or balance. Instant. And they proved it with EEG testing. So whether it's a pain pathway or a stress pathway or
a joy pathway. I'm now feeling very joyful.
You didn't.
It's good, yeah.
Anyway, we'll get into all those pathways. They would do the EEG on both in the test and then with people. And if it was off, they'd put a patch on and then they would test. It'd go to homeostasis. They'd take the patch off and they would lose homeostasis. And I just started thinking about that epiphany that since 2020 and the whole thing that happened in 2020, the toxins, the vaccines, the lockdown, the stress, we're in a world that's rapidly changing and we have no idea all the changes that are going to happen. The stress load to the brainstem has been at the highest of certainly any time since I've been alive, and who knows how much before that. So when I began to realize this has the power to change neurology, which then in turn impacts the whole body. I had so many light bulbs go on because of all the things I've studied for so long. So let's talk about how it does that.
So I think what's important on that is, again, we go back to sequentially over 40 years of history. You've had an intuitive gifting from the Lord to know what was coming next. And that's like every product line that's come through here has been sequential to what you needed for. And starting at the beginning of this year, you said it's a new season. I need new tools. You've been talking since January about new tools and new game plan. And I'm like, I don't see them coming. And then suddenly the next piece comes to the door.
Okay. So you have little what's called ion channels in the skin that are little receptors to receive tactile information, which is what the patches are built on. And within 5 to 10 seconds of putting that on your skin, whatever you put on the skin, in this case, a patch, it's up here processing and downloading into the body. Pretty rapid, pretty cool. So it's important to know that there are no ingredients. So you don't have to show it to your doctor because there's no contraindication to any meds. We're going to talk about what Dr. Anna, as a surgeon, what she has found is the best protocol post-surgery. And because she's getting such good results, the hospital is ready to do a study. And because it's an FDA-registered device like a PT appointment or physio tape, there's even discussion in process that insurance would cover it after surgery because it has benefits in post-recovery status. That's sort of cool.
Which you're actually involved in that yourself right now as a client.
So, no ingredients, there's no chemicals, there's no contraindications, there's no drugs, there's no stimulation. You can give it to a pregnant woman, a preemie, a baby, an old person. Let that sink in. That's like huge. I think it is. Changes in 5 to 10 seconds. Every single one of these patches and others that are in development were double-blind, placebo tested with EEG in clinical studies and put into peer-reviewed journals. So there's science behind all of this. So we don't even need to go into that. That's just cool. Virtually all of it was done in hospital settings, not like in our office. It was in a hospital setting. Basically, it's a biofeedback device, but you don't have to do anything except put the patch on. It's not a cure, and it's not designed to work on diseases. In the world of medicine, you go in with symptoms, which tells the doctor what tests to do. And based on the results of the test, they give you a label of a disease. And now there is a legal standard of care of prescription meds that they have to give you because you have that label. So we're not dealing with this. What we're dealing with is becoming aware of the symptoms that you deal with, because those symptoms, if you learn how to pay attention, are telling you which pathway is out of balance. Is some of this getting kind of cool for some of you? I mean, anyway. So post-surgery, what Dr. Anna does with all of hers, where she's doing some sort of colon surgery, we're going to get into what each of these patches do coming next. But Liberty, that was the first one. That was the one that Jade used for his mom who had her symptoms. And that one works on not only balance, and the reason she picks Liberty is number one is she doesn't want anybody to fall out of bed in the hospital because that's common. 1 million people a year fall, and there's 10,000 deaths out of those falls. So being able to change, which we know Dorothea knows because she's not walking with a cane anymore, and she's a nurse, so she knows that that's pretty important. So Liberty is not only about the ability to improve your walk and stability, it's on vagal nerve health, it's on colon motility, constipation, and it works on the gut biome, because when you work on the gut, you work on the brain, you work on the brain, you work on the gut. So that's Liberty. The next one she does is Peace. Liberty comes in this one. Peace, this is the one that I almost think everybody should start with. These two together are by far the top sellers, and they make so much sense. But Peace is designed to lower your perception of stress. I didn't think that was a big deal for me, but that one and a couple of others, coincidentally, as I've been using them, my blood pressure is stabilized. I think that's pretty fascinating. And it works with cranial nerves. It works with sympathetic, parasympathetic going into balance. So anybody that experiences stress, the Peace Patch is great. The next one that she has for post-surgery recovery is REM for sleep, so that people can sleep. Lumi, which I don't have that one over here. That one is to heal the skin faster from surgery, both externally and internally. And part of what Lumi does is it helps with collagen deposition. And not only do you have collagen throughout your body and your face, you have collagen in your gut. I didn't know that. And when you don't have collagen here, or you're getting all that saggy, you look older than you are, you don't have good skin texture. My skin's doing really well in my 70s. It's not where it was a few years ago. But she said, when you don't have collagen here and you've got a droopy face, you have leaky gut because you don't have the collagen in the gut. Do you know how nice it is to listen to a medical person who has all of this wisdom and they're tying it into
What you already do.
so exciting. And then the last one is Defend. And defend is to help fight against pathogens. And so she said, I don't want somebody in the hospital to get sick because of all the sick people that are in the hospital. So this is what she uses every patient that she does surgery on. So there's that. Okay. Any questions before I just do a quick overview of the different patches? Is any of this making sense or
raise your hand,
exciting or
unmute,
interesting?
type whichever is easiest for you. Because there's got to be somebody's got a thought going on. Well, that's clever, a thought going on.
So there's about 5 patches that she's putting on her post-surgery patients.
Well, the REM you only wear at night. You put it on in the evening, you take it off in the morning. So during the day, they're on 4, and at night, they're on 5.
Did you talk about not just ripping them off?
No, we haven't gotten to application yet.
Okay.
Haven't gotten that. So this is what I'm just telling you what she did. And
Oh, just
um,
because she's a surgeon, she can't put them on her arm. So she says she wears them on her thighs and her butt. So you can go anywhere on your body with these.
so we're going to get to that in just a minute.
Oh, sorry.
Um,
I'm ahead of the curve.
So typically what I suggest people do is if they don't know that much, these are the 2 I would start with. The Peace, because pretty much everybody's under stress, and then Liberty. These are the 2 that typically do the best. Forest will talk about ordering all that stuff later. But if I go through a certain pathway and you go, that's me, then what I'm finding with the people I'm working with is Peace plus some other pathway. Liberty for most people, if they don't walk very well, if they have trouble going up and down stairs, they don't do well on uneven surfaces, they have a lot of gut issues, then Liberty and Peace. But that is it. It is the 4 during the day and adding REM at night, Doretta. Anybody else have a quick question?
Cheryl, you talked about the technology about the ridges, but the ridges are not on the sticky side. So how do they get to how do they send a message?
They are on the sticky side. The ridges are on the sticky side. They're sticky. The sticky goes around the edge of the ridges.
You feel it on the outside, the side that's not on the skin. You can feel those ridges a little bit more than you do on the sticky, but it's going through there into the skin.
No, but the ridges are actually, okay, clarity. The ridges are touching the skin and the adhesive is on the ridges side.
So you have an adhesive to hold it on like a Band-Aid. That adhesive is right between these frequencies, but the frequencies go through that adhesive into the skin up to the brain.
Just think Band-Aid with Braille bumps on it.
But that was a good question, Lene, because some people might go, oh, I
Gail
feel it
does.
here, but I didn't feel it on here.
Is that good?
Cheryl, do you mind repeating the name of the doctor? Dr. Anna
Toker, Toker. You can find her on YouTube.
Thank
So
you.
when you get these notes, if you choose to get them on the lifestyle page, it'll give you Jay Dollywall, information on him, Dr. Anna Toker, her website, but she's all over YouTube. She's brilliant to listen to. And then Mark McDonald is also, actually, Anna's on their medical board, helping to put a lot of this together, and is still a surgeon. And then Mark McDonald is a health expert. He's got lots of programs, New York Times bestseller. He's part of their medical team. I put information so you could learn more about the quality of those
I
people.
don't understand Darlene's question.
Where would you suggest okay.
For speech.
Let me move, instead of doing all of the patches individually, let me talk about application because people want to know what to do. Jay said these were formulated so you can put them on any part of your body. The only one where location matters the most is the pain patch, which is the freedom from pain, freedom. So let's say you've got a problem with your elbow, then you would want to put the patch somewhere between the elbow and the brain. So you could put it here, you could put it on the back of your neck. The freedom is the only patch that you could wear 2 of. Because if someone has had chronic pain for a long time, and let's say it's their elbow, they could put one here, they could put another one here, or they could put one here, they could put one here. When I had the dental issue, I put it here. And my pain level, when it was like a 12, dental pain is not fun. It went from a 12 down to about a 3 and maybe 5 minutes. And over the next several hours, I forgot about it because I didn't have any pain. I only used it until I got the dental issue taken care of. And then I don't wear it because I don't have pain. But people with neuropathy, tingling in the feet or hands, huge, huge support for that chronic pain. If you were dealing with hip pain, you could put it above the hip, you could put it on the low back.
The pain one can take a while to kick in because if you've had chronic pain, we've talked about this in Easy. Chronic pain is a function of the brain. The brain has decided to produce pain regardless of your condition. So we're working on bringing homeostasis back to that pain center in the brain. Pain starts out in a little area and it actually grows in the brain. It actually takes over space. So being able to go after pain over a week or 2 week period. Cheryl had very rapid results, but it was new pain. If you've had ongoing pain, neuropathy, different things like that, you may need to stick with it for a while to stick with it.
Okay, I'm going to continue on application, but Gail, if you'll just trust me on it or go listen to Dr. Anna, you'll feel the ridge on the side that doesn't touch the skin, but those ridges are going through the adhesive into the skin. Otherwise, there could be no change in the EEG. So the ridges are touching the skin in the way that it needs to impact the brainstem. I won't go into
Okay.
more, but I want to make sure you understand that.
Susan, your question, no. What happens when you start pulling them on and off? They lose their ability, they lose their adhesiveness. And you'll notice after about 24 hours, the ridges go away. When I'm testing clients in the office, I can take it on and off about 3 times while we're testing, but about the 3rd time it loses its ability to stick. Dorothy, it is not going to solve the problem of compromised disc, but it could help regulate the pain with those. Okay.
Okay, a couple of other things on application. You want to apply to healthy skin. I have a friend client who had a stroke, lost mobility here. So I was thinking put the patch here. You can't because there's been nerve damage here that has not yet been restored. So you don't put a patch where there is nerve damage. You also don't put it over tattoos because that's caused some nerve damage. You also don't want to keep putting it right in the same place all the time. And there was something I was going to bring down here, but I forgot. If you have sensitive skin and the adhesive bothers you, I forgot to even put it in the notes. There are a couple of little things you can get that we'll make sure you get information on. You can even just use an alcohol swab to clean this and then put your patch on. And then again, I didn't know this till Dr. Anna told us is don't just rip it off because that impacts those ion channels to the skin. The best way to remove it is soap and water. So the best time to remove it is in the morning or evening, whichever time you shower or bathe, because the water and soap will very easily allow this to come off. Once I started doing that, it was like, well, that's really easy. And then typically the most common places to put a patch can be here. It can be here. It can be the outer, the upper, the back thigh, the buttocks. And if you're in an area that's very humid and you sweat a lot, some people will put them on their ankle because you don't sweat as much on the ankles. So those are the different places that you can put the patches.
Actually, for Susan's question on reusing them, just share what you discovered with Barb today when she came in with her piece patch on that was 24 hours old.
So I have someone that's going through just a lot of transition from the death of a husband and a move, and the peace patch has really been working with her. And she had it on when she came in. It was middle of the afternoon, and Forrest was doing the balance test, which he's got videos on that, and I think they're out on our YouTube site, CherylTownsleyTV.com. And her balance was off, put the Liberty patch, and it made some difference, but not a lot. And I said, when did you put that on? She said, well, probably yesterday morning. And I said, probably it's expired. So we put another piece patch on, rock solid. So Anna says it ends in 24 hours. So I decided to test it because every time somebody says something, I like to test it. So one day I just left my patches on. I'd put them on Friday morning. I left them all on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. I was like, what is my problem? I was feeling that old weariness. I was feeling stressed. And at first it was like, what's wrong? And then it's like, oh, they expired. So these are designed to work for 24 hours. Now, what I think, which we'll have to prove or disprove, is, and follow me in the thinking, if you can get a pathway to balance and move into homeostasis, and you're willing to do other things to support that pathway, but while you're working on this, there's no stress on that pathway because it's balanced, what might happen to the capacity of that pathway to become healthier? To me, that's extraordinarily logical.
She talked about that. She said that could be depending on how much damage, she said that could be a multi-year process. So there is a learning curve on these. Remember, I said they've been on the market 2 years, so there's a lot to be learned. Somebody talked about waterproof. Anna was down in Houston or Dallas. She said, Dad, when you're sweating like a dog in Dallas, they tend to come off a lot faster. So the sweat coming from underneath will take them off. Dorothea, I've had mine on in the shower. They do pretty good in the shower. But if you got a lot of, what you don't want to put them on is a place in the skin where you've got a lot of flexibility and skin moving around.
Like you wouldn't want to put it over a joint because it wouldn't be a tight,
And also not where there's hair. So you need smooth skin.
right, no hair.
If you've got, wrinkly skin, that's probably not the best place. So try to find something smooth so you get a smooth attachment to that. And again, I've had mine go through the shower just fine.
I actually, see, I put mine on in the morning after I shower, but one night I'd had a long day, so I did a detox bath. And I had them on my thighs, and I thought, I wonder what'll happen. I didn't do any rubbing on it. I just sat in the tub, relaxed, maybe 12 to 15 minutes, and they did not come off. Now, whether that would be true with swimming, I don't know.
So here's the thing. You guys can do a little bit of experimenting with this yourself. Cheryl's trying to give you what we've been learning and give you the ability to think and to be creative and to discover what actually works for you. We had one lady found that if she put the sleep patch in a certain place on her body, it worked a lot better than another place. Now, Jay says it doesn't matter, but for her, it did matter. So it's a disposable patch, like a disposable bandage. So don't get locked up in rules and regulations on this. Put them on, try them, see what you notice. And for some of them, if we're working on healing pathways, you may need to wear them. Like they say, REM, it could take you up to a week for it to kick in. So that's why you buy the whole packet and you just run with them for a month and see what they do for you. Notice the reason Cheryl's so good is she notices and asks questions. Again, Melinda, you'll just have to experiment and see. Now, I've got a friend who sweats a lot in a humid area, and she finds that the one part of her body that is safe from sweat is her ankles. She puts 4 of them around her ankles. That works great for her.
If the sweatband around the wrist would hold it on, you could try that, or just have him put his patches on after he does that. If it's
Well, he's going to wear it while if you're exercising, doing fitness stuff, that's when you guys want the Liberty patch and the Victory patch are the two to play with. Lene and I were noticing she does better with one, I do better with the other. Although, Lene, once I learned that the Liberty patch is good for vagal nerve tone, I'm thinking I'm going to wear both of them. But if you are out and being active, gardening, any physical activity that requires balance, I'm just looking at the age
Or
group of this
walking.
crowd walking. I'm going to call the Liberty Patch a really cheap insurance policy. Dorothea, can you just hit unmute and share your walking story? Because not everybody on here's heard it. Dorothea's a registered nurse. She's been working with us for a year or so. She got a rebounder from us. She's been working on mobility and movement. She's got her clubs. And then she ordered the patches. And she texted me and said, oh my gosh.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm in physical therapy because of these weird things that happened to me after COVID vaccination balance issues. Can you hear me?
Yep.
And, tried balance issues and bouncers and everything. And then once I started the patch, I could walk a straight line and I could walk across places that before my brain just said, no, and not safe, not safe, not safe. And it made such a big difference. I mean, seriously, where I even feel, and I started to put the peace patch on, and that even added up on it where I can feel I can walk across this place. I'm not compromised. I'm not in danger. And it made such a big difference, even to my physical therapist, because I had to walk these lines and do weird, balance acts. And he said, "Oh my gosh, what happened? What's the difference?" Because I'm just walking, not gingerly, like putting one foot in front of the next, or like, I'm not sure, maybe that's not safe. And I'm boom, 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 boom. She just said, wow. I mean, that's incredible.
And did you walk up a driveway without a cane?
Yes, 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 yes. At my daughter's a long driveway going down and up, with an incline. And
And
before I always had to have somebody or an aide, or
you were
my
fine before COVID, right? Before COVID, before the shots, you were fine.
oh, I was fine. Yeah. I mean, just no problems.
Here's what's interesting. The COVID stuff got lodged back here in the brainstem, where all these back in the sort of short of the cerebellum, but where all these cranial nerves and everything come in connection down here in the brainstem. And the Liberty patch goes directly to work on that part of the brain. The cerebellum of your brain is responsible for accuracy, balance, and coordination. Jay was working on creating a patch for his mother with MS who wasn't walking well. So it goes right back to this part of the brain where we found out that the COVID vaccines and all
COVID
lodged
disease,
the
yeah.
COVID stuff lodged itself and created damage. So I think it's got huge ramifications for that. And your story with that is just validation of, like, you didn't have to do this for a month.
No,
This
no.
happened right away.
Right away. Right away.
Okay.
And I have a history of MS.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't know
And I had a fall hitting right that particular thing after I had the COVID vaccine. I had a fall that hit right in that area. When everything started, and the patch, it was just like, oh my gosh,
Kind of crazy.
Okay, I'm going to go through and keep bringing your questions in. And if you really want to ask one besides typing it in, raise your hand and Forrest will stop me. Liberty and Peace are the ones that sell the most. And one of the things that Anna said, because she's wore a glucose monitor for a year, so she's pretty well aware of her spikes, and a lot of them happen at night. So she found that if she wore the Liberty and Peace patch, her blood sugar would drop usually 10 to 20 points overnight just wearing, I think I have that wrong. It's Liberty and REM.
And the spike and the
Liberty and REM, I'm sorry, Liberty and REM. And
spikes went away.
she dropped her points down, the spikes went away, and her baseline lowered 10 to 20 points. Okay, I got to stay focused or I'll confuse these because I'm still memorizing all of them. The Peace Patch does the equivalent of being in 4 to 8 hours of pure meditation, prayer, relaxation, and all that does to the nervous system, and that happens in 5 minutes or less when you put the Peace Patch on. It's extraordinarily calming. This is very helpful for hyper kids. We're going to talk about focus in a minute. It's a great one for any and all ages.
Just gotta this. So when I have the patch on for peace, Cheryl says I'm more pleasant to be with. Now, here's the thing for those of you that don't notice, I cannot tell that it's doing anything for me. My wife can tell, Desiree can tell, my daughter can tell, and I'm like, okay, I'll just put it on if it makes you all happy, because I feel the same. So I just want you to know, just because you may not feel something doesn't mean it's not doing something for you.
Not everybody is a great noticer. So if you have people around you, you might ask them if they're noticing a difference. Okay, I'm going to go through the rest of the patches and very briefly give you the pathway they address. The REM patch is the one for the sleep pathway. It tends to be very helpful for postmenopausal women that wake up a lot at night, along with Boost. Usually there will be a 30% improvement in 2 weeks in the ability to go to sleep and then being able to sleep through the night. 50 million Americans have sleep disorders, and they have found REM to be very helpful, and REM with Peace, that was reducing blood sugar. Boost, I didn't bring them all in. Boost is for energy, clean energy without any stimulants, without any crashing, without any jitters. There's no sugar. Energy drinks are a $30 billion a year industry, really impacting children and teens.
Oh my goodness.
And energy drinks lead to muscle loss, heart and breathing issues due to the stimulants. And so the boost is for energy. It's one that I use. And it's not like I all of a sudden have this big energy burst like with an energy drink. It's just I have capacity
It's
all
not like
day.
it's not like a caffeine kick.
It's not. In fact, the fact that I can do this, have energy, be animating at 5 to 6 on a Thursday night says it works. It's also really good for people who do like long distance traveling or driving, and the ability to stay awake without stimulants. The next one is focus, another one I didn't bring in. This is for the focus pathway. What's happened, certainly in the last 5 years, with all the apps and all the technology for adults, but especially children, it's stolen focus pathways where they just skip around, skip all over, and they don't have the ability to focus. This is a huge support for children in school. It helps Forrest. It's also helped Kyle, who works with us, to focus on intense projects.
But I
Forrest
think
won't let me
the-
wear that one.
the place you need to be thinking about the focus patch and experimenting with it is if you've got children or grandchildren, because all of this phone technology think of their brains as being turned into a pinball machine. And their attention span is just locked. So I've got a half dozen friends up in Canada that have said we put our kids ask for them when they go to school. It's letting them focus at school, be more productive. Parents that are homeschooling are putting them on their kids when they're trying to get the kids to focus. I think Lene's doing a study. She's putting in every kid in her college freshman class to see what happens to them. But I think focus patch, think about helping the kids whose brains have turned into pinball machines.
Okay, freedom, just think freedom from pain. I've talked about that one. Usually it's one patch. That's the one that you could wear two. Sometimes if you come down your neck from the brainstem, you have that bump, that's T1. So doing it right below that is a place you could put it, upper arms. Just think pain point, put it above, and then, or back here. Dr. Anna, because of standing all the time, she has a lot of hip pain. She wears one above her hip, and that's what keeps her stable and pain-free in surgery. Pretty cool. The next one is Lumi. This one is the skin pathway. And at first I thought, well,
Kind of stupid.
kind of hokey again. But then, oh, you see, you got to learn what's going on. So the science behind this is your skin pathway is responsible for cell respiration, both internally and externally, which is involved in the production of ATP. That's, for those of you who've been in easy, that's the mitochondria energy that's especially needed for the brain, the eyes, and the heart. In addition, it helps the body increase production and depositing collagen in the body. That's pretty cool. And when you put it along with
Hyaluronic acid.
that stuff, that's what's in the Primaskin. Those two supports change your skin quality. And if it's changing it externally, it's changing it internally. So I've been playing because with the blood pressure issue and different genetics that I have had a lot of really bad age spots on this arm. So for about 10, 12 days now, I've been
They are
putting
looking a lot better.
ivermectin paste on my arm.
Just between us, I just order ivermectin horse paste on Amazon for about $15, and she's slapping it on, and then the dogs come and lick it off.
No, they don't. Gross, gross, gross. That would be parasites. So I've been putting it here and a place here because that's what I chose to do. And the Lumi patch. And these are probably, I don't even know if you can see them now. These are like 70% gone.
Well, I noticed the other day when you got on the video, because I film you, and it's like her face looked better on. That's how I can tell the differences. I look at how she looks on video, and it's like, you look younger. Yesterday's the first time I said, you're looking younger, instead of just holding your own. So
think skin, think if you've got thin skin, just know that when you've got thin, wrinkly skin, which happens as we get older, that's happening in the gut. I didn't realize.
She's got stuff on her skin. She's got skin problems.
Oh, that would be huge for you. Because if it's happening here, it's happening in the gut, and there's going to be gut issues, and there's usually going to be weight in that area. So when Anna said that, it's like so many light bulbs went off. And if it's producing ATP, that's huge. Okay, keep going here. Defend is the one to help boost immune. And so that helps with your gut because your immune system resides in the gut. Allergies, enhanced blood flow, faster recovery, itching. Usually blood flow quality will improve within 10 hours of applying the Defend patch. It helps with better circulation, so it's great in travel. So because a lot of times circulation will be off and then the lymph will be off and you have all that puffiness like around the ankles and the legs and the feet when you travel, airplanes, when you're around a bunch of sick people, which we try not to. That's Defend. Victory is for peak athletic performance. So that helps Forrest improve the weights he's lifting by about 30%. Joy. This was another one that I thought, well, that's kind of hokey. But when I was testing on the body scan for hypertension and circulation, these two and Lumi were the three that kept bringing all those scores into balance. Plus, I'm doing vitamin D, nitric oxide, those things. And so when I was listening to her talk, Dr. Ann, about joy, it helps with optimism, depression, creativity. And one of the things I had really noticed starting in January is I just felt weary. I didn't use the word tired. It was like, I'm weary. And so when I went and did the Hebrew study of weary, this is so cool. It's when you have grown tired of a process and it's causing you to age. And I thought, that's how I felt because I didn't want to keep doing what I'd been doing with clients. I love what I do, but I was weary of it and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I started asking a question that's been very helpful for me. Lord, who do you want me to be in this season? What are you inviting me into? I had no clue it would be meeting Dr. Anna and learning how we can impact the brain at a higher level. So joy is
This sort of this project has unwearied you.
it's like it loosened creativity and excitement in putting puzzle pieces together and being
Not the patch,
detective.
the learning
This whole process, the learning process. The patches are great, but the learning process, that's what fuels me because I'm like a detective. What's the patterns? How does all this work? How do we maximize the brain? Because that's my biggest asset is my brain. And after the fall, 2.5, almost 3 years ago, when it wasn't a pretty picture, seeing restoration in my 70s from what should have taken me out and all the things that I can do to help other people, I get excited. So we'll move that over. We have 3 more. Ignite is to help burn 25% calories in rest. So it's helpful for weight loss. It's not a weight loss pill. It's not a weight loss program. All it does is it maximizes the metabolism pathway to burn calories while you're at rest. So we have a couple of people trying it to see what happens. Once I get feedback, I'll keep sharing it. Kick It is really good for people who have cravings or addictions. They have huge results with people who haven't been able to shake the habit of smoking. They have great intentions, can't follow through. For many of the people that I've been reading in the research is it's like they forget the habit because cravings go with wanting to feel comfort. So it's a craving comfort pathway. And when the craving gives that sense of comfort, you won't break that because that's part of the pathway. But when that pathway gets to being stabilized, homeostasis, it's like the craving goes away. Our daughter's using it with food, craving food and addicted to certain foods, and she's doing really, really well. So that one. Rocket is primarily for men with erectile dysfunction, but always know that with erectile dysfunction, almost always it's poor blood flow, and that's a nitric oxide issue. So those go together. And it also helps many times with nighttime urination. So that one, we've got a couple of people, one guy who's dealing with neuropathy and having to get up so often at night. Very interesting story with this man. He put the Freedom from Pain patch on the top of one foot. He wanted to see what would happen. And his wife said, Cheryl, he texted me and said, one foot doesn't hurt, but the other one does. And I said, well, what's different about the 2 feet? And she said, well, he has a Freedom patch on the one that doesn't hurt. What do you think that means?
Put on 2 freedom patches.
I said, I think it works. Well, what should he do? And I said, well, maybe he wants to put the second one on the other foot.
Fortunately, they call you with these hard questions.
So, the results with that whole erectile dysfunction, nighttime urination, this one, as in their studies, usually results will happen in 3 days if under the age of 30, 2 weeks if in the age of 40 to 50, and over 3 weeks if the person is over 50.
Side note, Jay on a call said some women are finding benefit too. So
Because nighttime urination and testosterone, which is sort of all in this whole pathway. So postmenopausal women might notice a difference if they're just having to get up a lot at night to go to the bathroom.
the
So
solution, when I listened to this the first time, was I just had Cheryl wax my back, and we just put one of each on my back every morning.
we
when
did
get up.
not. We did not. Marla, I don't know about the sole of the foot. Try it. I mean, I hadn't thought about putting it on the top of the foot because I thought of all those bones, but it helped this client. So, you know, when you get a packet, you get 28. And so play with location, play with where you like it the most. So why don't you tell people if they're, and keep asking questions, and we're going to do our best to be done in the next 3 minutes. We'll stay longer if
Probably.
we need it. But tell people how they can get something if they want.
Okay, so the company has a very good customer program, which is one of the attraction factors to me. They also have an ability for me to buy in bulk, and we retail them. So what we started doing initially is I just started buying these patches in bulk and retailing them so it'd be easy for you guys. Their customer program is in the process of being enhanced over the next month. Jay's goal is to have 1 billion people worldwide on these products. So he knows he's going to need a very good customer program. They're going into the Mexico market this month, so they're tied up with that. But November should enhance the customer program. But right now, what happens when you go to our affiliate website link, which is just forest.superpatch.com, if you just hit the order button, you can order. And if it's your first order, they're going to show all the patches at $60 a pack. I think most of you on here have already ordered them. And Carolyn, you're up in Canada. Good news. Guess what? It's $45 Canadian. And they ship out of Canada. You pay Canadian shipping dollars. Whatever country you're in, you pay in the currency of that country. So it's not US dollars for my Canadian
That's
friends.
fantastic. That's because of the exchange rate is so difficult.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. I saw something. I thought, oh yeah. So what happens is when you go to the first time click customer, it's going to show all the, just click the order button. It will show you all the patches at $60. And then when you get to checkout, it will discount them to $45 a pack. And that first order as a customer is where you get the 30-day, use them all up money back guarantee. So for me, it made it very easy to send people there. For those of you that didn't want to do that much, we took our packets and I put them in little baggies of 7. Those are on my website. So you can do the 7 to try them for $15. That we just want to make it easy without you having to do that. Now, as a customer, after you do that first order, when you go back in, they're going to take you to the $60 price. We are I'm sorting out their business model a little bit to figure out the most economical way for you guys to get these, because I don't want price to be a bump for you. So after you've done that initial order and you're ready to buy more, if for right now, until they get the new customer tweaking done, just email me or call me, and then we will figure out the most economical way for you to order. Like I ordered 120 packs and it saved me quite a bit of money. I don't think most of you want to order 120 packs, but we will work on the economic side of how this works for you. And so I won't get into that too much on the call tonight, but just call me when you get ready to do your second order. As a customer, one of the cool things they let you do is, and you should have gotten this in your initial email, and you as a customer, to log back into your order, if you're on auto ship or something, call me, because I had to learn how to use their website, but you can go back in and change your orders quickly. But as a customer, they give you a referral coupon. So if Marla decides that she wants to tell Darlene about this, she can say, hey, Darlene, Darlene, if Marla's a customer, she just says, use my referral code, and I would show her where to get her referral code. She sends her referral code to Darlene, and Marla will get a $30 credit against her next order, just as a customer. So it's actually a pretty good affiliate program. And that's what's going to be enhanced over this next month, is the customer affiliate piece. And then if any of you decide that you want to do what I'm doing and sell them, then we have a, revenue opportunity for you doing that as well. We've found it to be very easy because I don't have to convince Dorothea to try this for a month. I don't have to convince her. Okay, I don't have to convince her to do a parasite cleanse. I don't have to convince her she needs glutathione or she needs this or she needs that. I said, why don't you just buy 7 of them, slap one on your arm, go for a walk and see what happens. When we had a client in here the other day, Anna's age, had her ACL replaced. And when she was walking up this, every time she walked up the stairs, the knee would click and her foot would hit the next step going up. We put the Peace patch on and the Liberty patch on. I said, go up the stairs for me again. Guess what? Foot cleared the steps. So the benefit to these, you get an immediate result. And as Cheryl said, the Peace.
Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. And so there can be sometimes when there's, as Cheryl said, it creates a little bit of interesting things in your brain. And that's what we're here for, to help you do that. And we'll have the learning curve on that process. So that's the short version of purchasing them and using them. And very soon you will see them on the entire bottom half of my website homepage. I told Chris, the cool thing about the patch is it's problem solution. They just do problem solution, and their challenge is he has patches that solve problems that he's not allowed to solve. So for right now, we just have to be happy solving the current problems and waiting for the environmental climate to change so that we can do the rest of it.
So one of the things I'm going to ask of you guys, if you're trying the patches, I'd love to get your feedback so I can put it in my data bank of, they tried this, this happened, this time frame, this is what they noticed, and have something that you're noticing. Think of the pathway that you're working on. And if you have a question on, well, which pathway, which patch, you can put a question in. I already answered that as a Peace patch. You can put a question. It's easiest if you do it in the Lifestyle for Health group, Facebook group page, because then other people who have that question, it'll help them. If you have my email address, you can email me.
Actually, just email info@lifestyle for Health.
Lifestyle for Health, that
Then
would be better.
Lene sorts them out for us and makes it easier.
But I would love to have your feedback. Gee, I did this and I noticed this. Have something you want to notice if it changes. Don't just put something on and go, nothing changed. Well, what were you looking for? I have people that when we do their intake, I know what their issues are. They come back and say, well, nothing changed. I say, well, what about your pain? You had it at an 8. Well, what pain was that? I don't have any pain. And then we'll go to the next one, the next one. People don't always pay attention and they don't notice change. That's a learned skill. So if you're looking at pain and let's say it goes down a little bit, try a different place, see what you notice. REM, we were told put it on the inside of the right ankle. I gave that to someone. She said that didn't work at all. She put it on the inside of her wrist, which I wouldn't have thought of. She said it worked great. So the location can make a difference. Adding the Peace patch to others that you don't think would be an issue. I honestly didn't think that these two would be two of the biggest ones for me. I honestly it didn't occur to me, but when I was testing it on the body scan, they were huge for my brainstem and my emotions.
Just a note, Anna made a really good point about the joy patch. She said, I am basically a happy-go-lucky, positive person. She said, this part of my brain works really well. If I put the joy patch on, it does nothing because that part of me doesn't need any help because she's already a happy person. Like, I probably would not put this on my dogs because they're already happy. I probably don't need this on me because I'm already pretty.
You're pretty happy-go-lucky, but focus helps for us, but I wouldn't put that on me because that pathway is working.
Well, and they would have to move out here and take over running the office. So,
Okay.
okay. So the muscle
Cheryl,
So on muscle testing, you can do that. Some people do. And I just want you to know that Jay said they're designed to work on any part of the body. So don't make it hard. If you like to muscle test and you're good at muscle testing, what I decided to do for me on location, I'm not muscle testing. I just said, okay, body, is there a particular place you want? Not as a muscle test. And it's like, it usually doesn't matter. And sometimes I get tired of them here, so I started on the legs. I'm just playing with it to see what I notice. So don't make it hard. Step out of the medical supplement paradigm and keep it easy.
You want to go onto the YouTube videos we have and watch the balance test one. I have one of Jay doing it. It's a really lousy recording. I'll get a better one up. But Lene and I did a fun one. The test that you want to master with this is the balance test, the lateral balance and the forward balance. Like Ann, you and Mark can do that. Anybody's got somebody to test you. That with the Liberty patch or the Victory patch and the Peace patch is the game changer on showing that this works. So learn how to do that. And if you get friends over, just say, hey, let's do a party trick thing here. And then you slap the patch on and watch what happens. Because actually, people go kind of weird on it when we do it here in the office. It's amazing what it does.
So there are videos on each one of the patches. You can find it on our YouTube site, CherylTownsleyTV.com. There's an FAQ. There's an overview of all the patches. Just play.
And then we'll see you next Thursday at 5 o'clock. So what I told Cheryl, I said, this is new, a lot of education that goes with it. So we will just every Thursday through September, jump on at 5 o'clock, answer. There'll be more questions to answer. And because it's different, this is different than taking pills. It's different than eating more meat and less vegetables. It's different than, a lot of things. So we just want to get the education process going with this. And again, I will just say that if you are a pickleballer or an exerciser, one of my ladies is a gardener. She said, I can garden without fear of falling over. That's either going to be the Victory patch or the Liberty patch. When in doubt, start with the Liberty patch because that also works your vagal tone, your gut health, and your balance, and your cerebellum. All of those work together in a powerful way.
So Susan, if you're wearing two patches, you can put them side by side, just maybe a quarter of an inch in between so that they wouldn't be on top of each other. Doesn't seem to matter. It's pretty easy.
What does vagal tone mean?
That's a medical term for your vagus nerve is working.
Okay, thank you.
That the tone of the nerve is in place versus nerves can lose tone, like muscles can lose tone. So when you lose tone, they become much less ineffective. So when she told me that the Liberty patch is key for vagal tone, because the vagus nerve, we all know it comes closest here and impacts everything in the brain. Everything coming down the neck, tight neck that won't rotate, your voice, your oxygen, your ability to breathe, your digestion, and it ends in the gut. So if that tone of that nerve, which is the only nerve that goes in the body and in the brain, if that tone is off, all those functions are off. And you can reset the vagus nerve, which we talk about all the time. But this is helping to put that vagus nerve into more homeostasis in its tone. That one was like, you're kidding me. The ramifications of that is huge. And
I thought I didn't have to wear it because I was wearing the Victory patch. What most of the athletes are wearing, and they've got football teams. They've got entire football teams wearing these patches. So I'm of the notion I'm going to wear both patches and see how it does. And again, you'll see Lene and I testing that on the video that she and I did. Lene is great on video. I'm hoping that video goes viral because she's so good on video.
okay, any other questions or comments? Was this helpful? Was it interesting?
Mark, I can see new patches showing up on your arm next week. And I got yours off in the mail to you today.
And I'd be very curious what the skin patch would do for you. Because I'm also noticing, I'm just noticing my hair quality and my fingernail quality is changing. Because collagen impacts hair, skin, and nails. Hair, skin, and nails. So those are things, if you don't pay attention when you start, you won't know if it changes. So I just think that might be interesting. So take pictures, which of course I didn't do. And
Carolyn,
then
do you
give
have
me feedback.
Carolyn, do you have a plan for what you want to do with these? Because I know you've come a long ways the last 2 years. Does this give you a starting place? And when you go to my website, when you go to forest.superpatch, it'll ask what country you're shopping from.
Yeah.
So you just have to click on Canada.
Okay.
And then
Absolutely. I'm very excited about this. Thank you so much.
And then you'll just click on Canada. It'll say $45 Canadian, and the shipping cost are gonna be like $8 Canadian and
Okay.
8 or 10, something like that. And it ships out of Canada to you.
Okay. I'm
Everybody-
very excited.
Everybody in the US, they ship on FedEx out of outside of Chicago. And their home office is in Ontario, Carolyn. Canadian. Jay is a Canadian boy.
Yahoo!
Okay. Anything else?
I placed a document on Facebook so you guys can check that out. The notes are there. And then I will put the replay of this call up later.
You're so good, Lene.
And then they just drop it into our Dropbox so we can have it to send a link to somebody, in our Dropbox, and then we can just send links out because somebody's going to text me and go, where's the file? And then I can just send them
Will you make me a new folder?
for what?
Patches?
Oh,
Duh.
I have a patches folder. I'll put you in that folder. So
Oh, then I'll do it.
Okay.
no, I haven't added you to the patches folder yet. No, I did put you in the patches folder.
Yep, I can do that.
Okay.
Thank you guys for giving us part of your Thursday evening. I'm just going to pray for you.
Yes, Darlene, in the LFH group is where she's putting it.
Father, I just thank you that in a world that's pretty tumultuous, a lot of change happening, things we can't control, things we don't always understand, we don't know behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, we don't even always know the scenes. There's a lot of stress. Father, I thank you that you love your people enough that you're just continually giving us fresh insights, wisdom, revelation, and discernment. So, Father, Forrest and I care about our community, the people that you bring to us, that we can steward wisdom and discernment and teach people so that they can become the whole person that you have created them to be. So, Father, whatever was useful for any person on the call or the replay, whatever is useful, bring that to their attention, and Holy Spirit, help them to know the next step. And Father, anything that would be a distraction for each individual person, let it fall by the wayside and not distract them on their journey. Father, I ask that you would pour out, whether they do this or not, or whether they're doing something else, pour out encouragement over their heart that you always have a way through. You always have a way through. Father, no matter what challenge Forrest and I have been through over our almost 41 years, Lord, you just continue to bring people, resources, blessings to take us to the next step. And we never want to ignore appreciation and thankfulness for all that you do for us, all that you do for us. I just ask that your blessings would pour out on each and every person, from the top of their head to the tips of their fingers to the soles of their feet, that they truly can walk in the confidence that it's your great desire to bless them. And we just give you all the praise, the glory, and the honor for all that you're doing for each and every one of us. In Jesus' name, and everybody said, amen, amen, amen. And we're going to let you go. Go have a wonderful Labor Day weekend if you're in the U.S.
Oh, that's right.
Just have a great weekend, Carolyn, up in Canada, and any of our other Canadians. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
You turning us off, Lynette?